Hey there. This topic is going to be about network storage and files backup and etc. Right? So I'm not sure how many of you are like me, but I have been having some provisionary network storages over the years, and each one was quite crap. And all this because I don't have too much money to buy like premium hardware and stuff like that. So in order to, I don't know, I have always been dreaming about a perfect network storage, about perfect NAS, to have all my data and backed up on multiple hard drives with mirrors and RAID 5s and maybe more with ZFS and ECC memory and offsite backup and encrypted cloud backup. I have so many ideas in my head that all make like perfect sense, but in the end, it all takes a really lot of money to assemble. So I have been postponing it for quite a while, right? And one of the PCs of mine is Xeon CPU from 2009, which is quite trash, actually, to be honest. It's quite trash, and it uses a lot of electricity by doing literally nothing useful. And not even that, but it also died on me very recently. So I have been trying to get myself on speed, right? I don't know how many of you do these things, but I have like a lot of these little drives which I use for, I don't know, random data storage, and I don't even remember which one holds which. But I'm sure some of them have something valuable for me, and I just want to get all my data in one place, right? And in one place, I mean what I said in the previous sentences, right? So in order to get there, one has to start somewhere, right? So the Xeon server from 2009, of course, I got it for free because the previous owner was going to throw it in trash anyway. So why not save something, right? I just remember one of my friends told me today how just you wait until AI will be ruling the world. They are going to spare me, because I have been good to their grandfathers, and by that he means not throwing away any old computers, right? That was kind of nice to hear. But yeah, I mean, if I'm going to wait for a perfect NAS, that might never happen, because such a thing really costs a lot of money, at least from the perspective of what I have in mind. So I keep like jumping from one gratis device to another, and right now I got some kind of a network storage that is 19 inches, like rack mount 1 unit. And it's a bit noisy, so there may be a problem with Wi-Fi approval factor, WAF, right? But maybe I can change the fans or something. Either way, it's an Atom processor from 2011, has 2 cores, so it may be even slower than that Xeon from 2009. Actually, I'm quite, convinced that it actually will be slower, but I know it is what it is. It only uses 10 watts, so that may be bearable if it's very slow and doesn't use too much electricity, compared to being very slow and using over 100 watts, right? So that's quite shit. So today it took me roughly I don't know, between 10 and 12 hours to install this thing, and I have had some issues, right? And I have documented most of it, and I have assembled like between 10 and 15 videos that I'm going to now put together for you. I am recording this video right now after the fact that I have already finished installing the operating system, right? So let's not make you waste too much time. I just wanted to give you heads up on what this whole topic is about, right? So enjoy the ride and see how it went for me today. Okay, I got this, what is it? Fujitsu something network storage. It has proprietary operating system on there, which is not that good, to be honest. And it's like really heavy. I was thinking about whether we can reuse it with free software. So let's open it up and see how that goes. Actually, before we open it up, let's just check out what it offers here. Okay, so redundant power supplies. We have some eSATA ports, USB double networks, some more USBs, and a monitor outputs, which is convenient. Okay, so what do we got here is 4 hard drive bays. We have this switching power supply, like a redundant one, and apparently, let's try to zoom this in if we can. Yeah, apparently we have some kind of QNAP storage here of the unknown size, but it appears to be, I don't know if you can see this, I don't think you can, but it appears to be hooked up to a USB header. So it seems to be a USB storage. Maybe that is used for the operating system. And we also have like a glued in place 1 gigabyte of DDR3 memory and a custom motherboard, that is. So one of the things that I have found in my drawer is another PC3 1 gig RAM, which should double it. But just as well, I found another stick that is 4 gigs of RAM, which should boost this thing quite a lot. So I'm not sure if it's a smart thing to put the 4 gigs in here and pair it with 1 gig memory, but well, you never know if it works. On some motherboards you can do that. So I'm gonna give it a try and see what happens. If not, then I'll just pop out the 1 gig out and have it at just 4. I mean, just 4 is still 4 times more than it came with, so that's pretty awesome. Okay, so whatever I do today, speed is of utmost importance, because this junk cannot be here on my desk when wife gets back home from work. So it is what it is. Let's give it a try. Oh my god. This is very noisy. Voila, we got something. I actually installed Devuan yesterday on one of my testing laptops, and I can already tell you that this is way slower than it was on the laptop. Okay, let's go. Language English. Let's switch to another country, another continent, because that's where we want to be, and the locale can stay as is. Key map to use. Let's go with my key map here. Okay, we have 2 gigabit network cards, so let's go with the first one. Detecting link. Not sure if I plug the cable in the right port, but we'll find out that soon enough. It looks like I may have plugged the cable into the wrong port. Network auto configuration failed. Let's switch the cable to another port. There we go. Retry. Okay, now it works. Host name. What is the host name going to be? The host name is going to be Bratac Jaglenac. Okay, we don't want a root password. Full name. Okay, I'm eager to find out what the USB storage actually is and how big. Maybe we can do a speed test on it after the installation. Okay, guided use entire disk. This should be fine for this setup. USB disk module. 500 megabytes. Oh my god. Can we fit the entire operating system on 500 megabytes? Okay, we are definitely going to need to rethink this procedure because clearly half a gigabyte is not enough to... I mean, I could squeeze it in, but let me see if I can do something about the storage thing first, because it's just going to be a little bit easier if I can get it to be larger, right? Okay, so what I could do here, I could remove this USB, let's call it a stick, right? And plug in an USB header from an older computer and just insert into the USB a USB stick. But that's slightly too much work for something that I have no idea if it will make any sense, right, in the long run. So I have this small USB stick, it's 8 gigabytes. I'm just gonna plug it in here and let's see if I can install the operating system on there. So if it works here, it will also work here as well. But this is not a bad solution for the temporary stuff either. So let's see how that works. Okay, the moment of truth. We are now trying to install with that second USB stick inserted into the backside. Let's go with guided use entire disk. Alrighty, okay, so this is our install USB stick. We are definitely not touching that. This is the internal one. And for some reason, the one that we actually want to use is appearing as SDA, which is actually good. I like it. Let's try that one. All files in one partition, perfectly fine. Let's see what it has prepared for us. So 500 megabytes for the ESP partition, which is a little bit too much in this case. 6 gigabytes of system and 1 gigabyte of swap. So the first thing I would like to do here is remove the swap here. Because I don't really feel like this will do any good to have swap partition on a USB stick. Okay, let's remove everything and do it manually. Delete partition. Delete this partition. Delete this partition. Create a new one. Let's make it 250 megs in the beginning. Okay, this is our boot partition for grub. Create a new partition, 7.6 gigabytes, and we are going to make it XFS. Done setting it up. Okay, so we're good with this, I think. Root partition with 7.6 gigs and ESP. I actually think 250 gigs is, megs is even that is too much for ESP, but let it have some room for now. You have not selected any partitions for use as swap space. Enabling this swap space is recommended so that the system can make better use of the available physical memory. As I have already said, I don't feel comfortable with putting swap on the USB stick, and I'm going to reconsider this decision a little bit later on. Do you want to return to partitioning menu? No. Do you want to write changes to the disk? Yes. Okay, while this is installing, let's go ahead to the second console and see what the RAM is like at the moment. We don't have top. Okay, after full 5 hours we still did not finish the installation, so I'm just gonna have to switch to a different kind of storage. Okay, I have been having a series of bad lucks today. So one of these drives is dead. I'm not sure which one, but the operating system just hanged, and it was very obvious that one of these is dead. And when we got to the partitioning, it only showed one hard drive. So apparently maybe the electronics is dead, or it's trying to be alive, or I don't know. So let's remove these. And voila, let's do the laptop drives. Okay, finally the attempt number, which one is it? 4? I don't know, I have wasted the entire afternoon on this machine, and let's hope this makes sense in the end, right? So currently we have 2 laptop drives inside, and so far the system is behaving just fine, I mean the installer. So let's go with the manual method this time, because I have some ideas what I actually want to do. So what do we have here? So this was some kind of a Windows drive, obviously. Let's remove all of that. Erase, delete the partition. Fine. And erase this one. Delete it. Okay. USB disk module. So that's the one, that's the small one, right? From my the built one in the NAS. So finally I have an idea what am I going to do with this little USB wannabe stick, right? So let's go ahead and delete the partition, and let's go and delete this one as well. I mean, it's really small, so there isn't, I could make a really minimal system, but I really don't want to bother with that right now. So let's go ahead and delete the 2 meg partition as well, and delete this one, and the last one, delete that one as well. And now we have like half a gigabyte of free space, and what we are going to do here is create one really large partition, 500 megs, primary, and we are going to use this one, and yes, you guessed it, as our grub partition. Okay, so this is our grub partition. We are going to boot from this drive. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I hope it will make sense later. Create a new partition, and the partition size is going to be 4 gigabytes. Primary on the beginning of the hard drive. Actually, no, let's delete this one. Let's put it on the end of the hard drive. It should give us a little bit more speed. And this is going to be one of our swap partitions. And now we're going to go to the second hard drive, and we are going to put yet another swap partition here. So in my mind, what I was thinking with this setup is that I definitely want to have swap, and having 2 swaps on 2 different hard drives might make it a little bit more redundant, as 2 different mechanical drives will be able to write at the same time. So this could improve a swap performance by a little, and 8 gigs of swap should be fine in my setup. And now let's go ahead and configure software RAID. Write changes to the disk, yes. Create MD device, RAID 1 mirror. Okay, number of active devices will be 2 and no spare devices. And let's go ahead and choose 316 gigs on both of our laptop hard drives. Write changes, yes. And let's finish with this one. Okay, and now we have 316 gigs of RAID partition. we are going to use this one as XFS and mount it as root. There we go. We are done setting this one up. So what we have here is a strange little setup, right? So we have one RAID, like software RAID array of like a little bit more than 300 gigs of XFS for root over 2 hard drives, and then we have 2 swaps, each one on the one of the hard drives, and then we have ESP on the USB disk module, which is extremely small, but just about the right size for an ESP partition. So let's go ahead and finish partitioning and write changes to the disk. Do we want to write? Absolutely yes. And there we go. So now we are going to install the system fully this time, and hopefully this will end today because I really spent a lot of hours on trying to get that first USB stick like a thing, right? And it didn't work out. And then the second pair of hard drives didn't work out either. And now we have some more hard drives. Let's go where this takes me. Okay, so let's choose the mirror proxy, scanning the mirror. Everything seems to be working fine so far, so I have good confidence that these drives will in fact manage to survive the destiny that I have for them, being root drives for this operating system. Retrieving files, we're good. I still don't know which CPU is in there, and I still didn't check if these 5 gigs of RAM are operational to their full capacity, or I would guess they are because I haven't seen any errors reported, but I still didn't check it. I'm gonna check it after the installation. There we go. Select and install software. Okie dokie. So we have got the choice to pick between our init daemons. Okay, so sysv init is recommended, openrs and runit are optional. So of course we are going to go with sysv init because that's the old ways, right? That's the reason why Devuan has even came to existence, right? It's not an actual fork. I mean, it's made out of Debian, right? But it is actually a Debian, right? So it is a Debian without the systemd and some other stuff that they don't like. So they do it the old school way. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The moment of truth is up on us. Will this actually boot? Running preserve grub branding. Almost done with the installation. It is a little bit slow, yes. Yes, that is definitely the case here. Okay, requesting reboot. And I have unplugged the installer USB stick. Welcome to grub. And we don't have any choices here. So I suppose that the installation actually failed. Well, okay then, let's, I don't know, let's see if we can fix this for the time being without reinstalling it, right? List, okay, we have prots mem disk hd0 and hd0 ms-dos 1. Okay, so grub is recognizing only one partition on only one hard drive, and this is an MBR partition table, right? It wasn't partitioned as GPT. Let's see if we can see what is on this drive at the moment. ls, okay, my keyboard is different. hd0, ms-dos 1, and okay, we have FE partition in there. So the hd0 is actually our internal USB. So from this perspective, it looks like grub is not actually recognizing our RAID array. Okay, let's see what else can we do. Okay, what I think I did wrong here is I should have put boot folder on the USB stick. and not onto the root partition inside the RAID array. I actually don't think that this is going to work at all, because in order to load the RAID module, clearly I need access to boot folder, which is not present on the USB internal sticky thing, right? So at this point, I'm just gonna go ahead and reinstall everything and repartition it differently this time. Okay, so what I'm going to do this time is I'm not even going to touch the RAID array at all. Let's just go ahead and delete the ESP partition. Delete this one. Okay, let's make it again, create new partition, and this time we're going to make it 128 megabytes. This is going to be our FE partition. Okay, FE system partition, bootable flag on, done setting up this partition, and the rest of the free space we are going to create it as primary, and we can leave it at X4, but mount point is going to be boot. Okay, done setting up. At this point I would continue, however I am a little bit concerned about the my main hard drive is being MBR and not GPT. But since we are not going to actually boot from these hard drives, but rather from a very small USB disk module, I think we are safe to leave this as is, right? The only thing that we want to change here is go here, use as XFS once again, format the partition, yes, mount point root, all of the defaults, and done setting up this partition, and voila. I don't know which attempt is this today, maybe 6th. I wasn't even paying attention to the count. Finish partitioning. Okay, the partition tables are changed on SDC. RAID 1 device XFS, 2 swaps, ESP X4 on SCSI 11. This all seems to be in order. Okay, I'm gonna let you know how this went after the installation finishes, and according to the last time it installed on these laptop hard drives, it took about 1 hour to finish the installation, so I'm gonna see you guys in 1 hour from now. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, attempt number 78. Continue. So the last installation, what was it? So we have once again the XFS file system over RAID 1 over 2 laptop hard drives, roughly 300 and something gigabytes, and then on the USB header on the motherboard we have half a gigabyte of some kind of a USB storage. And I have placed 128 megs for the FE partition, which is probably too much, but I wasn't exactly sure what it will look like in the end, so the boot partition on the same USB drive ended up being roughly, I think it was 360 megabytes or something like that, and after hopefully booting up the system for the first time, I may be able to resize this USB boot drive. Okay, let me unplug the install USB stick now, because we are now rebooting, and welcome to Grub. And yep, for the first time Grub has managed to read its own configuration, and we are doing the first ever boot of the system, right? Amazing. Okay, there we have it. We have managed to boot up the system. Let's log in. Okay, after freshly booting, we have load average over the total power of our 2-core CPU, which should be fine after the fresh boot. Let's see top. Okay, so we definitely have 5 gigs of RAM and 8 gigs of swap, which is good. Let me just remind you what this looks like. Okay, there we go. We have XFS system for the root with the UID of the RAID array, X4. Actually, let's see what the space is being taken, right? For the boot, we have available 230 megs, so that's good. That's actually good. And then again, we have boot EFI mounted on, and that one has available 116 megs. Okay, so clearly that's too much. So I may be inclined to resize these two, boot and boot EFI, right? And make some more room for boot if this room becomes warranted, right? So if it gets closer to 100%, I'm going to steal a little bit from the EFI partition, but for now this will stay as is. It is perfectly fine, right? Good. There we have it. I am going to round up this video at this point because I have been doing this installation for a little bit more than 9 hours, and it will take a couple of more hours to get together all of the recordings that I did on this. I think I have like over 10 recordings, different ones, different moments, timelines, and put them all together and publish on my channels, right? And in the, let's say, phase 2 or episode 2, I'm going to insert the actual storage disks into this machine to finish the setting up of the actual NAS machine, right? So this was only the installation of the operating system, and it roughly took me the entire day. So this is where I'm going to end up this video, and that will be all. Okay, now that you have seen all of that, right? What do you think? What do you think about the whole thing, right? It is going to be a network storage, right? At the moment when I ended up recording all of the videos, it's already like almost 11 p.m. right, for me. So it's been the entire day that I have been working on this. So the part where I actually put in the storage drives is not there yet. I'm probably going to do that tomorrow, like at like in episode 2 of the same video, right? So stay tuned for that one still to see how will that actually work out for me. Currently it has like 5 gigs of RAM, and I'm going to try to go with the ZFS, right? Zettabyte file system. That one is, well, it is basically the best one for storage, right? So whether or not this system, the amount of RAM and the CPU will be able to keep up with that and be able to hand me the my data, right, over the network in a meaningful speed, that remains to be seen. I'm going to measure it for sure when I'm done with it. It is what it is, right? Stay tuned for the next episode of this same video, and I'm going to see you in the next one.